How many people in China really support the Communist Party's annexation of Taiwan? Whatever military or cultural attacks. The standard answer to the CCP propaganda agency, which includes those Taiwanese who have been half brainwashed by Chinese propaganda, is that 1.3 billion people. Because the CCP propaganda said all day long, Taiwan should not underestimate the will of China's 1.3 billion people. No common sense. It should be said 1.4 billion people. That is the latest total population number. Let me show you how to calculate. 30 of preschool children are deducted, the remaining 980 million. There are about 800,000 adults from Taiwan excluding children and criminals working and studying in China. If you know a little about China's social life, you will know that the integrity, friendliness and tolerance of Taiwanese will make the Chinese people around them feel that Taiwan has the advantage that China will not be cultivated for another 50 years. So every Taiwanese in China will have at least 100 people around them feeling the value of Taiwan, and they feel that Taiwan should not be merged by the communists. This was also removed about 80 million. In a closed-door meeting in Beijing, a young expert who studied Taiwan did not shy from saying, "I have found that those young people who have studied in Taiwan and free traveling all have a good opinion of Taiwan," and begin to question, why unification? How many of these young people? At least 500,000 people. Under the same sociological principle, their favorable impression of Taiwan's value and their questioning of Communist Party propaganda will subtly affect 50 million of people. Similarly, in the past 17 years, the total number of Chinese tourists to Taiwan was 26 million. And how many of them have felt the value of hospitality and tolerance in Taiwanese society? Let's calculate by 30% of them, that is 7.8 million people. After returning to their home, the scope of communication and spread will be 780 million people. I do not know how many Chinese you know, and I know countless people. Among them as long as the family to travel to Taiwan. When they're back home, no exception, all was spread everywhere the value of life in Taiwan. Oh, it's only 70 million people left over based on this calculation. Counting another one number that some readers may find unpleasant, but science is science. Taiwan is the most tolerant country in Asia for same-sex relations, and all Asians know it. According to the scientific literature, homosexual tendencies accounted for 4% to 10% of the population. Taking the lowest 4% of the 980 million adults mentioned above, there are about 40 million Chinese adults would think that Taiwan was his or her holy land. Removing those groups that knew Taiwan's inclusive value, leaving 30 million. Of course, this group and the previously calculated group may be overlapped, but the figure is almost negligible. So, are there 30 million Chinese who wholeheartedly support the CCP's propaganda and really want to annex Taiwan? No, please allow me to see the problem through another kind of structural analysis. The term Chinese in Taiwanese society can be divided into three types. 1. Intent on annexing and destroying Taiwan. 2. Some fear of the authority of the first type, who is talking same words in his mouth but knows in his heart that annexing Taiwan is actually unfavorable to China in the future, including many high-level CCP members. 3. Ordinary people can be brainwashed, but can be brainwashed to the direction 1, can also be washed to the direction 2. The first type is a very small number of people in power, up to 20,000s, or even as few as thousands, who are enemies of Taiwan. There are several 100 million in the second type. They are the ones who Taiwan people should know how to win for the United Front. Unfortunately, the present government almost completely does not know how to do it, or deliberately does not do it to defraud the votes. The third kind of person is like the grass on the wall, could ignore them. Furthermore, the vast majority of the 20,000 people or so who genuinely want to annex Taiwan have emigrated with their families. So there are only thousands of Taiwan's enemies within China who are genuinely committed to the CCP. If you do understand this point, you will not be fooled by the United Front and the 5-cent groups of CCP. I have heard some people's comments. The Liberation Army in China has 2 million people, This is a hard-hitting power. How can we say that China really wants to annex Taiwan only as thousands of people? This is another topic. I'll talk about it next time. In the previous article, how many people in China really want to swallow Taiwan? The conclusion is that within the whole People's Republic of China, there may be only a few thousand people who are intent on annexing Taiwan and putting it under the control of the Communist Party. At the end of the article, I put forward a big question. The number of the Liberation Army in China is more than 2 million people. How to explain that conclusion? This article makes an analysis on this question. First, whether or not to attack Taiwan by force is a political decision, not a military decision. This principle is universal, including ISIS and other terrorist organizations. Today's world is no longer a situation as 1,000 years ago, in which one king or one family could declare war at any angry moment. Even modern figures like Hitler, Stalin and Mao Zedong are no longer possible to do that again. Any war could be simple triggered or likely to exist only in the tribal cultures of Africa or the Middle East. The last time the Liberation Army set out to attack Taiwan was in 1950, when Chen Yi and Su Yu assembled 500,000 troops along the coast of Fujian. But eventually it was cancelled, because Stalin wanted to retain the KMT government to counterbalance the CCP. He first launched the Korean War and ordered Mao Zedong to transfer his troops to the Korean War. Since then, the merge of Taiwan by force has gradually become a political issue on the power chessboard among the Soviet Union, China and United States, rather than military issue. To this day, it can be said that it is a 100% political decision-making, but the players are now only the two countries including United States and China. But this does not mean that the Liberation Army has no plan to attack Taiwan. In fact, the plan is being carried out every day. I am afraid that there are dozens of sand-table exercises. It is the duty of a soldier to make all possible military inferences, and the United States may have several sets of sand-table exercises for landing in Britain. What Taiwan people need to pay attention to is not the threat of the Liberation Army attacking, but whether Taiwan's own national defense and security do enough sand-table exercises, as well as the changing political situation between China and the United States. So, when will the Liberation Army's ability to attack Taiwan mature? It's a bit like asking when your home is capable of buying the most advanced 120-inch television. If you don't buy refrigerators, air conditioners, washing machines, and if the living room is over 100 square meters in size, I believe that most families are capable of buying a 120-inch TV. It all depends on how much your budget is allocated to buy the TV. China has 9.6 million square kilometers, after Jiang Zemin ceded the equivalent of 30 Taiwan-sized disputed land to Russia in 1999, and 27 neighboring countries, Xinjiang and Tibet, are facing pressure of separatism, autonomy and federalization, as well as the risk of North Korea's betrayal. Everywhere need military budget. This is still not including that the requirement military force for guarding the South China Sea. Logically, China's military force is enough to solve any of these problems, just as if many people could afford a 120-inch television set if they poured the whole family resource into it, but people will not do so. Also consider China's internal separatist pressures. Xi Jinping has overhauled the military structure during his first term, with the aim of being able to fight, be good to fight, and be able to win. In other words, although the original CCP army had a large number of people, many weapons and many nuclear missiles, it was unable to fight, not good to fight, and cannot to win. The original 7 military regions were restructured into 5 war zones, and the original separate management of troops, weapons, fodder supply chain was changed to learn from the integration of people, equipment and food of the United States Army. This big move needs at least 10 years to get the initial results. Since the Second World War, the continuous evolution, revision, deepening of military cooperation capabilities of the United States. The distance between China and America is still several decades old. Under the old military system, the biggest threat is being not able to fight. The extent of China's tragedy during the Korean War in 1950 and the Sino-Vietnam War in 1979 is still a sensitive topic of confidentiality. Under the new military system, the biggest threat is the military coup after the integration of people, tools and food. Finally, there is the problem of glass heart. The only foothold of the CCP's one-party dictatorship is nationalism after brainwashing, and the only foothold in nationalism is that could not get any defeat. Otherwise, the morale of the people will soon collapse. Imagine you are the leader of the CCP. When will you really want to attack Taiwan?